Hello, and welcome to the Difference Makers Show, where we're bringing you today's top leaders who are making a positive difference in our world. Hi, I'm Lynn Sanders, your host, and I am so glad you're here. We have quite an exciting show for you today, and we're covering an important topic. It's increasing your personal significance in the world. What does that mean, to increase our personal significance? How do we do that? How do we measure significance? And how do we build a bigger impact? In fact, why is it more important than ever to stand up and be counted to make a bigger difference? Well, you're going to find out today because I have an exciting leader for you. His name is Scott Schilling, an internationally renowned, multi-talented business leader whose track record for building impact has led to growing businesses by millions of dollars. Scott is an executive coach, a media host, an international trainer and speaker, and the executive VP of strategic partnerships for Bee Konnected, a unique global platform for business professionals. Scott is truly an authentic connector. His background includes over 35 years of experience in coaching, sales, marketing, and training to corporations, business owners, entrepreneurs, and individuals. He has presented at nearly, get this, 2,500 live events, sharing the stage with General Colin Powell, Suze Orman, Jack Canfield, Les Brown, former First Lady Laura Bush, and many more. You'll be glad to know Scott's life purpose is to inspire and empower others, to serve humanity through living life's purpose in spirit, love, and joy. So in that positive spirit, without further ado, let's welcome Scott Schilling. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you, Lynn. I'm absolutely delighted and honored to be here. It's going to be fun.
I am so thrilled. Yes, there's so much that you have to share, and I'm so glad you're here because you are a true difference maker, someone who's touched my heart from the short time I've known you, and I'm excited what you could bring to people. So let's start with the topic of how did you get to where you are right now? Why are you so passionate about making a big difference in the world?
Well, I think I've been very fortunate and blessed. I've had tremendous mentors along the way. I've written checks to 19 different mentors to who are the best of the best in their area of expertise. That's how you grow, is you find the best of the best and then you emulate and learn from them. The model's there, no need to reinvent the wheel. So I've been very fortunate. My statement to every one of my mentors have always been the exact same. Give me everything you got and I won't keep it. And what I mean by that is I'll share it with my students or the people that I come in contact with. And so it became very evident to me as I was working, number one, with some of the most amazing and best people in the world, that they all have a philanthropic bent. They all had a desire to give back. They also weren't always who they have become. In other words, they started with some meager beginnings and a variety of different things, and but they had a want to make a difference. They had a want within them to do something that was grandiose or bigger in stature. And so it's funny, I look at my dad, spoke for the United Way for 37 years, never got paid a penny. And I remember watching him get ready for these events and go, why would you do this if you don't get paid? I certainly didn't understand it back in the day. And I look at my mom, who, when my daughter graduated high school, my mom came off the plane from Florida and had a new gold watch on. And I said, Mom, what's with the bling? That's not like you to have a gold watch. She said, well, Florida hospitals just gave it to me for volunteering for the last 25 years.
Oh, wow.
Well, my mom was 85 at the time. And I said, so you started when you were 60? And she goes, doesn't everyone? And so what I guess I didn't realize is I had it modeled within my own family, within my parents and my sister and brother too, for that matter. And so when you see it modeled up in front of you and you see all the good that happens because of it, and you like to have people enjoy that same kind of good, why wouldn't you go do it yourself? So I think the passion is built in I was a 5-sport athlete. I was coached by a lot of great people. You have this desire to win.
Mhm.
Well, we've got an amazing world. There are amazing people in it. I think you take that desire to win and turn it into desire to lift people up, to honor people, to respect them for what they've accomplished and who they are, and to understand that, quite frankly, we can live in a world full of dignity if we contribute that dignity ourselves. So when you put all, how do you get here? You put all the good, the bad, the ugly together, and you realize it's more fun when it's good. You realize it's more fun when people are happy. You realize it's better when you're better. Well, why wouldn't you want to be better if you could be? And
Right.
so I think that's the biggest part of wanting to, or being passionate about being of service to others, is being very fortunate, being able to watch those who are so highly respected and so have done such good work in the world to go, that's pretty cool. I don't know if I can hit that level, but I'm sure going to try.
Wow. I really love what you just said, because it shows you follow the passion that you didn't realize you were learning from your own parents, and you brought it out. So it makes me think about, how do we each take advantage of what you learned? How do we increase our personal significance? What are your tips?
Well, the first thing I would do is help you to understand why significance is, in my opinion, far more important than success. Success itself is a wonderful thing. Everybody who's anybody has been successful. But when you really look at success, it's somewhat of chasing and attaining a goal that has been set. So we set a goal, we go out and we attain it, we now have success. And that's the way the communities and people look at us. Well, if we're going after success and we just achieve success, what do we have to do? We have to set a new goal.
Right.
And we have to go after something else. Well, because we're pretty good at what we do, we probably achieve that success. Okay, so now we get that success again. And what do we have to do? We have to set a new goal, and we have to do again. To a certain extent, success puts us on the hamster wheel of life. It's get one done. Awesome. You don't even, how many friends do you have? I know I've got a ton that don't even celebrate their successes. They just, it's like on to the next one. I got to get on to the next one. Whereas significance is the meaning behind the success. It's the why behind it. Why is achieving this goal important? It's not just the achievement of the goal, it's the why is that important.
Right.
And I think when you strive for significance, that there's just much more meaning in your life. And I know that the things that I've done throughout my career, as an example, being able to stand on stage and present opportunities for people to improve their lives. But I would never stand on stage and offer something that I didn't do or use myself.
Right, because of integrity.
It's an integrity issue. It's an authenticity issue. And so even when I got into one portion of the speaking business, I was given a presentation. They said, here's the presentation. You have to do it. And I said, if I have to do this presentation, you got the wrong guy. I'm not that guy. And they said, well, we were told you were. And I said, from the skill set I am, but not from this set of words. That's not going to come out of my mouth. I'm not going to do it. So get somebody else. And they said, but we want you. I said, okay, well, if you want me, then let's take what you have. Let's modify it in a way that I am now authentic and integrous in presenting it. And I'm all for it. And they said, but that will never work. Your way will never work. And I said, well, okay, if you want me, here's my request. Give me 90 days and I'll prove that it does. And if it doesn't, fire me.
Really?
Get rid of
So
me.
yeah.
And in 90 days, they went, my goodness, you're right. It works. You can do it that way. So the reality is sometimes people, quite frankly, many times, people aren't willing to stand on their, you could call them non-negotiables. You know, you can do a lot of different, it's why I have my life purpose statement: to inspire and empower others to serve humanity through living their life's purpose in spirit, love, and joy. Having a life purpose statement now becomes a filter by which you can share and discern what the right opportunities are or not. Let me give you a quick example.
Yes.
You say, hey, Scott, I'd love to have you on my show. Okay, well, let's run it through my filter. To inspire and empower others, that's all the audience and the listeners, to serve humanity. Well, that's obviously what you're doing with Difference Makers Media, is you're serving humanity. I love that idea.
Right.
So that I can live my life's purpose. Well, my purpose is to help you be on purpose. So that gives us the opportunity together, in spirit, closer to God than I've ever been. Love my wife, my family, my friends more than I ever have. Joy. I love doing this. I love sharing messages. Okay, I'm in. Or somebody comes to me and says, hey, there's a new bank on the corner. You know, they've got really lax security. We can walk in there. We can walk out with $1 million a piece. Are you in? Well, let me run it through my filter. To inspire and empower others? Not so much in that case. To serve humanity? I don't think stealing somebody's money is her serving humanity. How does it make me feel about my life purpose? Well, that's certainly not my life purpose. In spirit, are you kidding me? I'm allergic to lightning. I don't need that. Love, if I steal from you, I'm not loving you. Joy, I might take the money and be happy, but it's not going to bring me joy. No. So your life purpose statement becomes that filter by which you determine what direction to go, what projects to take, what people to work with, all those kinds of things. And so that's why I teach it, and I encourage people to create their own, so that, again, they've got a system now. They've got something, a filter that they can judge whether they're on track or not, headed towards that significance. See, the life purpose statement gives you meaning. It gives process to that significance.
Exactly. It's the roadmap that you're spelling out there. And that's why I resonate so much with you, because that's exactly, we're all about empowering, inspiring, and transforming lives through the power of our story. And our story is what we choose to tell others and what we choose to think about ourselves. So what I love is that you're really getting the message out that we have to be in integrity with ourselves all the time, because if we're not, then we will feel it on the inside and we're not living our life's purpose.
Well, by definition, integrity is one of my core values, but by definition, integrity comes from the word integer, one, wholeness. How you do anything is how you do everything. You can't be a little integrous. You can't be a little pregnant. You either are or you're not. Well, it's the same thing with integrity. You can't say, well, I run by integrity in my personal life, but with business, anything goes.
Right.
Not the way it works. So like that earlier example, when the company came to me and said, we heard you're the guy, but here's the presentation, I could not in integrity do that presentation. I did not believe in the way that things were presented there. And gosh, there were plenty of other people willing to do it.
Right.
That's not the point. But it doesn't matter if there are many other people willing to do it. I had to be able to sleep
Yeah.
at night,
Right.
and I needed to be able to look myself in the mirror, and I knew I couldn't do that in that case. Now, again, I'm just a guy who learned to do things the way my mentors suggested I do things. And because of that, I've had some pretty decent success. And more importantly, have created some significance along the way, and am helping other people realize that.
It's so beautiful. I wonder, is there a way of measuring significance?
I think that it's an interesting question. I've never been asked that as much as I talk about the difference between the two. But I would have to believe that there is, because when you're applying meaning to things, it's I think it's the people who are more compassionate, more empathetic. There's meaning. In other words, it's not linear. It's not, I did this, so it's not, I did this, so I made $10. And I mean, part of it is, but I think it's because the meanings behind it, there's got to be a way of measuring it. I think one of the greatest measurements, thinking about it intuitively, is your peace, your own personal peace. I think if you've accomplished a certain amount of significance, I think you're pretty well at peace with yourself, with your family, with your surroundings, with what's going on in the world, even though the world hasn't been the easiest place to live in the last few years.
Exactly. Wow, that's a beautiful, beautiful message. I wanted you to share the story you told me before the camera started rolling here about your book and what inspired you to create your book, Champions of Inspiration. Is that
Well, Champions of Inspiration is my new TV show, but the
Oh.
book I was talking about, that we were talking about, is Talking with Giants.
Yes, tell us about that.
I was at an event. There were about 800 people in the crowd, and Cynthia Kersey came up and made this impassioned plea to support Habitat for Humanity. She wanted to do a women's build program, which was, she said, women, I want 40 women to swing the hammers and drive the nails in 40 days to build 40 houses. Men, the only thing we need you for is your money. But the way she presented it was so powerful. And I looked to the friend on my right, and he kind of said, did that hit you like it hit me? And I said, yeah, that was powerful. And my friend on the left, the same way. And the friend on my right said, I'm going to write her a big check. And he told me, and it was a big check. And my friend on the left kind of leaned forward and heard it. And he said, wow, I mean, I'm going to write her a check too. Not that big, but it's still going to be pretty significant. Mm-hmm. And they both looked at me and they said, what are you going to do? And I said, I can't. And they said, what do you mean you can't? You're the vice president of sales and marketing for a company. I mean, you got a great job. And I said, yeah, but we're in a stock play. My reward from this is going to be able to take the company public. And so from a salary side and stuff, we'd live pretty close to the vest. I just don't have any extra money to write. That being said, yes, it hit me harder than anything has ever hit me. And they said, what are you going to do? I said, I have no idea. So I went to the back of the room where Cynthia was. I said, I'm Scott Schilling from Dallas, Texas. I got a lot of friends with a lot of money. I can't very well ask them for their money to give to me so I can help you, but I'm going to help you. She said, so what are you going to do? I said, I have no idea. And she said, but you just said you're going to help me. I said, yeah, I did, but I have no idea what that means right now, but I'm committed that I will help you.
Wow.
Well, what happened, the extension of that is, that was the end of the event. I was sitting in the lobby of the LAX Marriott where the event was. It was about 6 o'clock. My flight wasn't until 12:15 a.m. Mark Victor Hansen and Dear Abby came walking by, and Mark looked over and said, "Hey, Scott, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm just hanging out until my flight later on." He said, "Come have dinner with Abby and I."
Hmm.
Well, that's a great offer. So I did. But when we got to the table, it wasn't just Dear Abby and Mark, it was all the other speakers. And I knew a fair number of them. I said, "Man, I got some giant friends."
Mhm.
I mean, I was kind of amazed. I was in awe of being invited to this table. But I kept on looking and I kept on thinking in the back of my mind, what can I do to serve Cynthia and her request? And I said, I got all these giant friends here, and look, they're just all talking to each other. And gosh, what if I just did a book talking with these giants? And that became the title, Talking with Giants. And so I interviewed, again, the thought leaders of the day, 15 of them. I found out that they all had a philanthropic bent to them. None of them were what they were then. In other words, they started in lowly, meager situations, many of them, but they always had this generosity builds prosperity mentality. So that's really what the book became about. And then their path. And who do you support? Why do you support it? Why should we support it with you? And so ultimately there's 20 charities tied to the book, including, I called Cynthia and I said, "I know you don't know me, and you might remember me as that guy who said I was going to do something. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a book, and the proceeds are going to go to you and your program. So you've got to be in my book." And she goes, "I don't even know you." Once again, you caused this. You need to be in my book. Well, since then, we've become great friends. But I wrote the book, Talking with Giants, and ultimately the money from it, it's been designed to drive people to give to either those charities, or if those charities don't trip their trigger, then find something and give back. And so I couldn't write the check, but it didn't mean I couldn't do something. I
Right.
could use my relationships. I could use the knowledge I had. I could use the fact that I knew how to write. I could use the fact that I had connections that would publish the book. And so, again, I would encourage people. It's not always the answer you think it is. You know,
Yes.
I didn't go there thinking that I was going to write a book because of it, but that became my first standalone book. Well, now I've written many books, and it started because of being in a place of lack.
Mm.
And that's what I think that people don't understand often enough
Tell us.
is that you can be in a place of lack or not where you want to be, or things aren't perfect, or in a state of flux. Have we had any flux in the last couple of years?
Yes.
But the reinvention of yourself at that point can be the thing that really takes you to where you're supposed to be in the first place. You know, God, higher source, whatever you choose to call it, has put dreams and visions in your heart. And those dreams and visions are never put there without the ability to accomplish them. The
I
question
love
is,
that. Yes.
are you acting on them? And I have to constantly remind myself of it. And which is why my TV show podcast, Champions of Inspiration, is about sharing undertold or untold stories. Those who are known to everybody are already known. They need a little help. They don't need as much.
Right.
But those who have the amazing stories are the ones, and that's where, again, you and I align so well. We want to tell that untold or undertold story to help people secure the funding they need to drive their nonprofit, to do good works, whatever the case might be.
It's
Again,
so
what you find out
important.
is that all kinds of ties together over time.
Yeah, I think what happens is some people get stuck in this rut of lack and they think they can never get out. And they think that the people who are up there, who are prosperous, who are successful, have always been there. So what you're sharing is the inspiration that we all can do it, that we can overcome challenges and be where we want to be if we have that belief in ourselves.
We live in an abundant world. It's not for lack of resources. There's more money available in the world today than there ever has been. Now, it might be in different places and it might look differently, but the reality is there. It's interesting. We were just talking about this, even shows like this. Prime example. If you did a show like this 2.5 years ago, before the pandemic, you would get some following, but you may or may not really get traction with it. Well, what happened during the pandemic? We got very accustomed as a viewing audience to see one of the anchor people in the studio. And because of physical distancing, the second anchor was doing it from their kitchen table.
Right, right.
And the weatherman was doing his report from his porch. and the sports guy was hanging out somewhere because there were no sports at the time. He didn't have much to talk about, right?
Right.
But we got accustomed to seeing split screen, various delivery of videos. And so now, today, with the technology that's come up and grown through this time period, you have the ability to do a show like this and people go, gosh, the production quality on this is virtually as good as what the network news is.
Right.
So again, think about, and I refuse to use the P word, the most overused word in 2020. I use the word reinvention. This time has given us, well, quite frankly, Einstein said this many years ago. In the midst of crisis lies great opportunity.
That's a powerful statement.
The only question is, do you see it as opportunity? Or do you see it as a limitation? People, again, think of how our society, how the American life has changed. People, especially in California, figured out driving 2 hours to work and 2 hours from work every day really hampered their life. Now, why they didn't know that while they were doing it, I don't know. But the fact is, because all of a sudden they didn't have to go into an office and now they spent more time with their family, they realized, I'm never going to do this again.
Yes.
Why did I do it? I was one of the sheep that fell into what the norm was. Well, that's not the norm anymore.
Right.
And so you see one of the massive reinventions to our workforce. I'm not going to work from an office ever again. Well, the good news is I didn't.
You don't have to, right?
I didn't have to.
Yeah.
But the point is, do you understand how, while you could look at that as a negative, you could go, I'm free. I can do this. My wife laughs at me. She said, how many times have you worn long pants in the last year? 5, 6 times.
Well, you're in a warm weather place, right?
Well, I'm in a warm weather place, but at the same time,
it doesn't matter.
I haven't had to go out to do
Right.
things.
Right.
And so again, if you look at in the midst of crisis, we could be, oh my God, I can't do this, can't do that. Or we could go, oh, what great opportunity has just opened up.
Right. Right.
It's your choice to accept or decline.
Yes. Wow. I think I could speak to you all day. I mean, because I just love what you're saying. I know we aren't going to have all day, although I can see a series of the Scott Schilling Hour.
We can do that.
I mean,
I'm all
really, the things you're saying, like the generosity builds prosperity, that is a statement that can be pulled out because people think the opposite. Prosperity brings generosity, but no, it's because you're generous first and people recognize that, and then the prosperity comes. That's a new way of thinking, just as the statement you made about in the midst of crisis comes reinvention. I mean, right now, and we don't even need to go into all the politics, but people can look one way, and we are so bombarded with negative
Mhm.
news, and we have to be aware of it because it's our world. Yet we choose our thoughts, as you know. And I love the fact you're choosing to focus on what can we do to make a
Right.
difference, bring out those stories. And this is for everyone to be inspired that we all make a difference and we all can choose to make a difference. And
Mother
that's
Teresa
why,
said many years ago, if you
yeah.
can't feed 100, feed one.
Hmm.
It's the choice of being able to do something. It's funny because I mean, I fall into I hear the negative
Hmm. Of course.
chirping and stuff. Well, what makes you think anybody's going to watch your show? How many people do you have watch it on a daily basis? Why why you? There's so many other people that are so dot dot dot, right? And you hear that and you go, yeah. And then I think of, well, what if I just feed one?
Hmm.
What if this show today only gets to one person? But the question then becomes, what if they are the one?
Yes.
What if they're the one that can ultimately make the difference in something for you or something for me or for something that we talk about? So that there's a couple things that I consistently remind myself of. It only takes one.
Mm.
It only takes one interaction. It only takes one phone call. It only takes one person. It only takes one boss to hear the right thing. And all of a sudden, a job offer comes through, or an opportunity to go speak, or an opportunity for me to go train somewhere, whatever the case might be, right? So if you listen to anybody who's had some kind of success and significance in their career, every one of them, to a person, I hate absolute statements, but this is an
Mhm.
absolute statement.
Yes.
Every one of them has not been where they ended up. They have all started somewhere. They have all paid their dues. There is, they have all, uh, done shows that nobody sees. They've all
Mhm.
given talks that nobody liked. They've all done all these different things until the one thing happened
Mhm.
that made a difference.
Yes. Yes. They took a risk. They went out there. You're a step ahead of me, Scott, because I was going to ask you, what's the one thing you want people to remember? So maybe you want to repeat it, what you
Well,
just
I
said.
think the one thing I want people to remember is it only takes one thing.
That's it.
You're going to be off course far more than you're ever on course throughout your life. It's not about being off course. Believe it or not, it's not. The only way you can get feedback is to take an action. The chances of you taking the right action first are negligible, which means you're going to be off course, and you're going to be off course more than you're on course. That's not the issue. What you strive to do is be off course less often, less far. That's all. Instead
Right.
of big swaying movements, you make little, it looks like a
Right.
fishtail.
Like a
Now
sailboat.
a straight line is a straight line, but a
Mhm.
fishtail that moves really quick almost looks like a
Mhm.
straight line. It's not about not being off course less often, less far. So
Beautiful.
I experiment and try lots of things. I just changed the name of my TV show. And as soon
Champion.
as I did, people went, "That's it."
That's the show, championsofinspiration.com. Do you want to share just for a moment what that's about? Because then I would like you to also let people know the gift that you're going to give everyone.
Sure.
So,
Well, Champions of Inspiration is again really telling that untold or undertold story that people need to hear. There's so many people working to do great things in our world today, and we tend to hear nothing but junk.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, our media is full of naysayers and the sky is falling and oh my God, everything is horrendous.
Right.
And quite frankly, it's a shame.
Mhm.
So here's what I can control. I can control sharing a message of hope and inspiration that is positive, that stands the potential for somebody to see, to do some good work, to take some good action, to give them the courage to do their own thing. I'm in control of that.
Right.
So then do it. And that's
So
what we do
where,
with Champions of Inspiration.
I love it. And where can we find that show, Scott? Tell
Well,
us.
you can find it at scottschillingspeaks.com. All of the shows and everything go into the overall website of scottschillingspeaks.com. Ultimately, you'll be able to see it on championsofinspiration.com as well. It'll just be a redirect, but it'll take you to the shows themselves. And what I want to do, you said it earlier, I want to gift everybody, if they would like,
Yes,
a
please.
copy of Talking with Giants, my first book. Now, you won't get the physical book. Simply go to twgfreegift.com and you'll get the PDF download of it. You'll be able to download all 164 pages and all the stories and all the different things. But where we started talking earlier today, I want to gift you that book in PDF form, twgfreegift.com. And, again, I hope that you get the book and I hope that it sparks something in you to say, gosh, the boys clubs and girls clubs are really doing good work. I think I'm going to support them.
Great.
Or Juvenile Diabetes Association or Foundation is doing amazing work to help eradicate diabetes, or whatever the case might be.
Thank you, Scott. That is so generous. twgfreegift.com. And we'll put it up on the site afterwards.
Huh?
I think that is a very exciting gift, and your show sounds amazing. I can't wait to tune in. And I just want everyone to take advantage of what Scott is giving you and sharing, because we all need to hear these words of positive inspiration. You do make a difference. You all can go out there and choose to make the difference you want to make. It's all up to you. And Scott, my deepest gratitude and thank you for taking the time to be here with us. You're the best. Thank
My
you.
pleasure. I'm honored. It's always fun. We'll have to do more.
Yes, definitely. Thank you all for listening and have a terrific day. And remember, you make a difference. Thank you.